Not for the reasons people expected, Martell Holt is once again in the headlines. This time, it isn't because of a flashy moment on television or some heated argument caught on camera. Instead, it's because of the court documents that were supposed to bring his long, bitter battle with Melody Sherry to a final end. Now, these aren't just papers filled with legal language. They represent years of fighting, disappointment, and pain. They hold the weight of every sleepless night, every public breakdown, every insult thrown, and every wound that hasn't fully healed. And even more than that, they carry the future of their children, who have watched their parents clash for far too long. But in spite of how important these papers are, Martell refuses to sign them. And this is not the first time. He has stalled before. He has delayed, dodged, and made excuses, each time leaving people to ask the same question: what is he hiding? It wasn't always this way for Martell. There was once a time when he carried himself with such pride and power that people naturally gravitated toward him. When he walked into a room, people noticed. His suits were sharp, his smile convincing, and his smooth voice had a way of making others believe every word he said. He had the polish of success, the aura of a man who was untouchable. Even when he was wrong, he knew how to make people see him as the victim. His charm was his weapon, and he used it well. But that was then. That version of Martell feels like a shadow of the past. The glow that once surrounded him has faded. His choices, his repeated mistakes, and his inability to face reality have created a new picture, a picture of a man who looks more bitter than powerful, more desperate than confident. These court papers, the ones he refuses to sign, were meant to mark the end of this toxic journey. For Melody, signing them means freedom. It means peace of mind. It means the ability to finally live without Martell's constant attempts to control her. To her, these papers symbolize closure, accountability, and the right to move forward without being dragged back into the mess. But Martell doesn't see it that way. Instead of signing and ending the years of conflict, he clings to delays and excuses. And fans are furious. Many believe that this is yet another attempt to keep power over a situation he already lost. It's not just the delays that anger people. It's the silence surrounding Martell now. Once upon a time, he was surrounded by a circle of friends who celebrated with him, traveled with him, and lived off his spotlight. He was the man opening bottles, showing off his success, and basking in attention. But those same friends? They're gone. One by one, they've slipped away, no longer willing to stand by him. Because loyalty has limits, and people eventually get tired of standing in the middle of chaos. Now, Martell is left trying to patch up his broken image online. He posts pictures with his children, carefully staged to show himself as a loving, dedicated father. He paints a picture of a man who puts his kids above everything. But fans aren't buying it anymore. They remember the therapy sessions he skipped, the custody agreements he ignored, and the countless times he put his pride before his family. They see those photos not as love, but as control, a way to manage appearances while avoiding the real work of fatherhood. And at the center of it all stands Melody. She didn't just walk away from Martell. She rebuilt herself. She took the pieces of her broken marriage and used them as stepping stones to create something new. Her career is growing, her businesses are thriving, and her peace is undeniable. She is calmer, stronger, and glowing in a way that doesn't come from makeup or lights, it comes from healing. And Martell? He can't seem to handle it. While she rises, he stays stuck in the same old cycles, repeating the same mistakes, and refusing to grow. The more she flourishes, the more he tries to pull her back into drama. Fans see it clearly now. During a recent live stream that went viral, the comments section was filled with harsh truths. People described him as lost, resentful, and empty. Some said he looked like the ghost of the man he used to be. It was painful, but it was also true. The hunger, the drive, the energy that once pushed him forward is gone. What's left is a man clinging to the past, posting bitter messages online, lashing out late at night, and trying to survive instead of thrive. This downfall isn't surprising to everyone. Dr. Francis, the therapist on the show, warned Martell years ago. He told him that unless he ended his destructive cycles, took therapy seriously, and faced his flaws head-on, he would lose everything. But Martell didn't listen. He ignored the advice. He dismissed therapy. He refused accountability. Instead, he went back to what felt comfortable: old patterns, old habits, and even old flames like Ariane Curry, the woman tied to the affair that destroyed his marriage. And so the cycle continued. At this point, fans are done waiting for change. They no longer believe Martell will grow. They no longer expect a redemption story. The staged photos don't move them. The excuses don't convince them. They just want closure. They want him to sign the papers, stop the delays, and finally let this toxic story end. But Martell's delays could cost him more than just reputation. Judges have their limits. If he continues to disobey orders, he could face real consequences: custody restrictions, financial penalties, or worse. Because the court doesn't play by television rules. This isn't about storylines or sympathy. It's about facts, accountability, and above all, the children. In the beginning, some people defended Martell. They believed he was just struggling, that maybe Melody left too soon, or that he would eventually rise again. But sympathy has an expiration date. And his endless excuses, cryptic posts, and late-night rants have dried it up. The victim card no longer works. Meanwhile, Melody hasn't wasted her time dragging him online. She hasn't played games or tried to undermine him publicly. Instead, she has poured her energy into growth. Her music career is expanding. Her businesses are flourishing. And most importantly, her children look happy and secure. She represents what happens when you choose peace over chaos, healing over hurt, and accountability over excuses. Martell, on the other hand, seems stuck in a battle he already lost. He keeps fighting for control, not realizing there's nothing left to control. He keeps repeating mistakes, expecting new results. And everyone around him can see it, even if he refuses to. Once upon a time, Martell had it all: respect, wealth, fame, and a beautiful family. But his pride convinced him that he could cheat, manipulate, and escape accountability without ever paying the price. Today, instead of being remembered as a man who rose, he is becoming a cautionary tale, a warning of what happens when arrogance wins over growth. Fans have said it plainly. Martell could have been a story of redemption. He could have shown that change is possible, that broken men can rebuild themselves, that accountability can bring healing. But instead, he has become proof of what happens when you refuse to grow. And the fallout hasn't touched only him. His family, his friends, his fellow cast members, all of them have been dragged into the storm. Kimmy, Maurice, even producer Carlos King have felt the heat. Fans accuse Carlos of protecting Martell, of giving him too much screen time, of forcing him into storylines viewers are sick of. But the truth is, TV can only shape so much. The real world, the courts don't bend to editing. They deal in reality, not ratings. And in reality, Martell is running out of time. The judge will eventually step in. If he continues to delay, the court will make the decision for him. It won't be about punishing him, it will be about protecting the children and giving them stability. At this point, it's bigger than Melody versus Martell. It's about responsibility. It's about the kind of example being set for their kids. It's about whether Martell will finally stop fighting for power and start fighting for what truly matters: being a present, consistent, accountable father. He still has a chance, however small. But it requires something he has avoided for years: admitting fault. He would have to face his mistakes honestly, not for cameras or social media, but for himself and his children. Because in the end, this story isn't just about a failed marriage. It's about choices. Martell chose pride over humility. He chose excuses over accountability. He chose image over love. And now he is living with the results of those choices. If he doesn't change soon, he won't get to write the ending of his story. The courts will write it for him. Meanwhile, Melody's story is the opposite. She shows what happens when you turn pain into strength, when you walk away from chaos, when you choose to rebuild instead of staying broken. Her glow comes from peace. Her strength comes from growth. And that's why so many people root for her today, because she is living proof that heartbreak doesn't have to define you. So the question remains, will Martell finally sign the papers and bring this long nightmare to an end? Or will he keep dragging it out until the decision is no longer his to make? Because time is ticking, and the court won't wait forever.